successful, the technology becomes more efficient. We are dependent on the technology. If technology is good, then we can do our works better. But if technology does not function well, then it will create its own dynamics. Basically, we're being dictated by the technology. We become a servant of technology, to say so. I'm sorry to use this word, I should not have used, but it's like that. So whether we're going to control the technology or the technology is going to be able to control us is also a thing. Also, it is creating a divide, the accessibility in terms of digital divide. Who has access and who doesn't have access? I'll tell you one thing from Nepal. The government of Nepal has decided to take, online courses for the schools, basically. And many in the rural Nepal, now the online courses, they use three things: radio, television, and also in some cases social media as well. Now many people do not have radio, they have to buy the radio. Many people do not have television sets, they have to buy the television sets, be in front of the television sets when the classes resumes from the national center. Then they also have to get the internet for that. So it's like, then extra burden for them, and there are quite a lot of number of people who cannot really afford to go for these types of things. So it creates its own type of class as well. Different types of वर्ग निर्माण कर रहा है. Okay. Then how are we going to bridge those gaps that the system itself is creating? And we have to, I think about it so that everybody can have access to it. So equally. And one thing COVID-19 has, the best part of COVID-19 is there is no hell and heaven on earth. Because this has affected all countries equally, developed countries, developing countries, and underdeveloped countries. They were equally affected. If you look at the impact, America, there are a lot of people dying. The developed world, if you go to the Europe, a lot of people are dying from COVID-19, and same thing is happening in our part of the world as well. This is also an opportunity for us to, to catch up with the speed in terms of development, in terms of getting access to the technology and things like that. So if we can do all these types of things, then certainly this will benefit us. This will reduce the physical distance, or physical divide that often creates the classroom studies as well. So it has created a positive sides. It also has got a negative sides as well. So we need to strike a right balance between these two things. As of now, if it goes like this for a longer period of time with the online, so then we all will have to prepare. We all will have to invest on it. Teachers will have to invest. Students will have to be prepared for that, primarily because we don't have a culture of pre-reading, in the classroom. When you come online, then you have to be prepared yourself. You cannot do the same way as you do in the classroom. You can use the whiteboard or blackboard, that you can, make the students, you can teach them in a better way if that happens in the classroom. But if it is on the online, then students will have to be prepare themselves. So that reading culture will have to be inculcated on our students as well. So then only they can benefit from this from the online systems. Then, as earlier speakers have said, we really don't know how are we going to have these the exam systems yet. So that everybody can be examined. Like I give you one example. For this year in Nepal, we really did not have exams for the schools. You have this high school exam. We could not conduct it because the exams were supposed to take place in April. Then the corona crisis hit the country, and now the government has decided to pass all the students based on certain criteria. Then that's the school level examiners. Then we're also not going to have an examination for the colleges. Because of the similar cases there. But it's only the universities which will be conducting their exams from next month, August. They will. But we really don't know. When the universities are going to open up that, because the crisis is still so severe that we really don't know these all things how will the situation unfold in the days to come. So accessibility is the most important thing. Everybody need to have to access to it. Then we need to bridge the digital divide. Those who have access and who doesn't have the access, that is also that is also very much needed. Equally important is we need to invest on the teachers as well. I think they also have to be prepared accordingly for the teaching classroom. A lot of people, if you look at, I'm telling you from my experience from this part of, from the rural Nepal, a lot of people might not be aware of how to use the technology as well. So we need to invest on it. ICT, information and communication technology, will become the most important part. Then the other part is the earlier speaker has raised very important point in terms of the security. What we teach online, because we really don't have the, we call a sovereign, the sovereignty of the state. So it does, this technical, we don't have access to, we don't control it. Technology per se is controlled by somebody else, right? So we also need to have some sort of mechanism that can maintain the security of the both the classroom teachings, online teaching. So if that does not happen, then perhaps that will create a problem. Then everything will go, so people will not really feel that comfortable. So this also has to be. We'll have to take into consideration. As of course, it has a benefits, like I'm sure this will become cheaper compared to the classroom teachings. When one has to be there, the physical presence is required. And one thing which will change in the days to come is a lot of the buildings, universities, and schools. If it continues, okay, we really don't know about it. If it continues, the big buildings, in UK, you have got red bricks universities, buildings with big buildings, with red brick. So the classroom, the teaching with the buildings will just disappear. Classroom में जो अध्ययन करते हैं, that will disappear and new things will come up. Perhaps we'll have to know how to live with all these new types of things. I just, here we call, both living and the loving. So everything has changed during the last 25 years. A lot of things have changed on humanity in terms of, the living. So this is the new kind of change. Which has been brought by the technology, the COVID-19 crisis. So it's entirely up to us. How do we want to take it, and up to the state to what extent they are prepared for. But some countries definitely will have a problem because of the resource crunches. They will have to equip the students because parents, if they are, I give you terrible conditions here. As I said in the beginning, that a lot of people who used to work outside will have to come down, will have to come back to Nepal. So the money remittances has come down. A lot of tourism industry has almost it's collapsed because of the lockdown. Perhaps agriculture will not be good. So in the days to come, people will face, our guardians will face a problem in terms of preparing their children for these types of, buying computers, getting access to internet, and these types of things. So there are mixed, I would say, the mixed bags it has got. It has created opportunities because we can interact, without coming to your place, which is Chhattisgarh, which is quite far from here. So you can communicate, but at the same time, it would have been much better if I would have come there physically, or you would have come here physically. Then that will have, different types of created different types of momentum. So that will be missing. So there are positive sides as well as negative sides. But for the future, if we really wanted to excel on it, excel on the online courses, we have to update. I think the first thing I would need to go for is change the course structure. I'm telling you this one from my own experiences of teaching social sciences here. Somehow, nothing, these all cannot be, we have to, what is to be taught online and what is to be given to the students in advance so that they can prepare themselves. Yeah. Perhaps if the situation goes like this, many things will change. A lot of subject even will disappear. That's my guess, but it's too early to say like that. few subject will just disappear from the disciplines. Basically, I see these things from the humanities, but the technological, on the technological side, a lot of new things will come up. Like a discipline might come up how to prepare students or teachers for these types of studies as well, for to take part in on online. So these are the some positive sides and negative sides of the online teachings. As I said earlier, this affects the pillars, I would say, schools in a different way, colleges in a different way, universities perhaps if you're a research scholar doing your PhD, you might not be affected because PhD you really don't need to go to the university unless you're doing something hardcore research on medical sciences or physics, chemistry. Otherwise you would stay in the room and you either go to the library or you do your own table research. So they will not be affected. But the most affected lots will be those who are going to the schools, because they will have an extra burden, because you need to know about you're already, this is something new they have to learn, how to adapt with the computers as well. Also, my own experience when I was teaching during the lockdown period, it was really difficult as well to sit in the computer for 2-3 hours. Somebody, earlier around, Rajiv ji said, you have to, right after you have one class, then next you have another class. If you have got successive classes, then you somehow don't get that refreshment which the online, the physical classes gives. So somehow you get bored, and there are a lot of chances that you might get, if you don't interact with the people physically, there are chances of becoming, a lot of people are going depression as well. So you don't talk to the people, you talk to the machine all the times. So somehow we have to prepare ourselves for the time being, because situation is like this. Because we cannot just, step back from this one. We just have to. But for the longer term, I do not think this will be an optional. This will be an option. We can take it as an optional. The distance learning for those who cannot go to the schools or universities, they certainly can benefit out of it, because we have to take it as an. So in the past, let's suppose we have two types of systems. Physically, you go to the university or the schools and get the degrees. Otherwise, you do the part-time studies as well, or you primarily fill up the forms. I don't know how many universities in India has got that provisions, but you don't attend the universities. You just fill up the forms and get the degrees, and you still need to sit in the examination hall. But this will be the third option, I would say, the distance learning. Like, you don't have access, or you don't have an opportunity to study as you are, for various reasons, then this can provide a lot of opportunities to study at any age. So there are three options we should take it: classroom, private, and this is the online courses. And this can also benefit, but will have to be prepared, as I said. So this is what I wanted to share from my side. A lot of things has already been said by, in terms of technicalities of it. How should we prepare the students or the teachers, and what are its impacts or consequences on overall classrooms or online has been said. These are some of the challenges I just wanted to highlight and share with you, and I will be more than happy to take the questions later on. It will be easier to do, say something more later, because it's all about the sharing experiences will be better. How you are coping with, addressing the situation in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh, or in rural area. Nepal is also very much a lot of difficult terrains. In many places, people still don't have access to the telephones. So these are the challenges. Electricity is the biggest problem again. So then, if you have the power fluctuations, or you don't have electricity for many days, like a few years ago, we used to have a blackout for electricity cut for at least 14 to 15 hours in 24 hours. So that was the situation. Today we're slightly in a better position. We have got electricity almost 24 hours. Then in many places where there is no electricity, how will they get access to the online courses? So we need to build up these types of physical infrastructures as well. So we need to physical the software required for the online courses. We also need to prepare the hardware. So then only can we go for these types of courses in a more efficient way, and we can benefit a lot out of it. That's what I want to say. I think maybe later in the Q&A session, I will be more than happy to share my thoughts. And once again, I wanted to thank you to the college for this opportunity, to our Vice Chancellor, Sir, and Mamta Ma'am, and all others who have been engaged in this, in organizing this international webinar. And this is in fact good for us. I just wanted to highlight the last point. During these last couple of months, the relationship between our two countries who have shared the same civilization for ages, the relations are not really moving into the right direction, and this perhaps is the best opportunities that would brought us together. Very happy for that and really obliged. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, sir.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। भारत और नेपाल का रिश्ता तो हमेशा से अच्छा रहा है और आगे भी अच्छा रहेगा। कोविड-19 के चैलेंजेस और उनके ओवरकम पर आपके द्वारा जो बातें कही गई वो हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए जितने भी लोग हैं निश्चित तौर पर वो सभी के लिए लाभप्रद होगी, ऐसा हमारा विश्वास है। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। It is honor that on this international webinar with us as second resource person, Dr. Tikaram Podal, Assistant Professor, Kathmandu University, Nepal, former language scientist at University of Konstanz, Germany. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Tikaram Podal to share his opinion with us on this topic. Over to Dr. Tikaram Podal.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Gambhir, for inviting me and for this opportunity. I feel privileged myself. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Verma, Dr. Mamta Sharma, and all the colleagues from Nepal and from Raipur. I feel privileged to be here with you to share the experiences that I have, particularly the experiences that how we moved from this face-to-face mode to online mode of learning and teaching. Sir, may I get the chance to share my slides?
Okay, sir. Okay. टेक्निकल इशू आ जा रहा है।
Sir, myself Dr. Sanjay
Yes, sir.
Awasthi. Sir, there might be some technical issues while displaying the slides. So will it be possible for you to read the session without that?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And I started like this. I am Tikaram Podal at Kathmandu University. We have a department called Department of Language Education under School of Education, Kathmandu University. And particularly my responsibility there is teaching and conducting research and guiding students for dissertation, supervising them. And in the meantime, I have also responsibility to work as a quality assurance coordinator. And because I look after the issues related to QAA, that is the UGC accreditation and assurance of quality. And in the meantime, we have a department of, within School of Education, we have a center that is what we call research center. And I also coordinate the activities that have been going on at School of Education, Kathmandu University. And all of us know that this time is a very critical time, and we all are in crisis. And for more than 4 months, we have been inside our homes, and it's very difficult for us to go out. We have no public transportation is there, and the government has strict system to control the virus, because it was necessary to save the life of the citizens and the people, especially the elderly, the children, and those who have been suffering from different kind of diseases. And we have learned with different kinds of terms in these times, like sanitizer, curb the, flatten the curb, and all other kind of things. And we have been living with all this kind of fear, a kind of uncertainty. But in the meantime, we know that in this period, more than 1 billion students all over the world have been affected, and about 67% of the total enrolled students all over the world have been affected. And this is not a good thing that has happened in all over the world. I think this kind of crisis in education has never been experienced in the past, in particularly in the history of education, I think. And if we take the case of India, there are the UNESCO data says 320 million students were affected throughout this, and all of these students are not going to school, not going to colleges, and not going to university. And this is something that have never happened in our lifetime. And if we talk of the case of Nepal, there are, as a smaller country, we have less number of students affected. We have affected number, according to UNESCO, is 8,796,000 children or students have been affected, and they have not been able to go to school or colleges or universities, and all their learning activities have been disturbed and interrupted. Then, but I know in my own lifetime as a teacher and a student, I think in last about 30 years, I've seen different kinds of crises in education, particularly. And so this is not the first time, but the difference is that at this time we are facing it in a global context. Earlier, all those kind of crises were in regional. And education, crisis in education were, I think, are of two types. One crisis is caused by the human-induced crisis, and another is natural crisis. And in this few slide, I just wanted to show you the slides as well. In early 1990s, when I was doing my master's degree in the University of Manipur in northeastern India, then at the time, whenever there was a crisis, then we have always looked for assistance from the technology. And that was the time then when I was doing my master's degree there. Manipur was somehow a problematic state because of the different kinds of insurgency and other kind of things. Then particularly at the time, what happened, our university library brought the photocopy machine for the first time. And we were quite excited that we don't have to come to the university, but every day and sitting in the library, and because we could make the copies of the books from the library, and then we could take it to home or in the hostel, and then we could read it. And it was a great relief, because in those days, because of the curfew and all other kind of things, it was not always possible for us to go to university every day. And another thing, the technology came at the time, and this taught us that we have to make use of technology as much as it is possible. And what we used to do, that at the time there was a trend that we have to get ideas as I was in the Department of English, and at the time the standard English was thought to be something like British RP or American standard American English. And then we used to listen to the records of some great figure from the West, and we used to try to speak like that, and all our voices were recorded. And after the recordings, we were told that the teacher used to evaluate our, and this was the thing that used to do. And all these things happened during the crisis. And in about 2000, in late 1990s, I came to Kathmandu, and there in 2000, I enrolled myself as a PhD student at Tribhuvan University. And there I learned lots of things that perhaps I missed at University of Manipur there while I was doing my master's. And one important thing was that we had a course, and the course was called Use of Computers in the Study of Linguistics. As a linguist, I learned lots of things, and I was wondering that how can machine can do all that kind of things, that I was really feeling wonder and surprised to see that you can work out the phonological system of a new language. You can work out the morphological and syntactic structures of a new language. And I also did a master's degree in linguistics, and it was great that I was a very good student, and that's why I was able to get the gold medal in there. And particularly, we had to write a dissertation to get the degree of master's degree in linguistics. And at the time, there was a software that we learned, and that was called Praat, P-R-A-A-T. It is still available free if you just search in the Google. And that Praat helped us to analyze the languages which have not been previously analyzed, particularly the phonological system. And I applied that, and I went to the field, I collected the data, and then I used the system of application Praat and the phonological system of that language called Rajbangshi, new Indo-Aryan language between Assamese and Bengali family languages. It was there, and I wrote a dissertation. And for morphological analysis, there was a tool called Toolbox. And these two things we learned in the Department of Linguistics at Tribhuvan University. And there, it was wonderful. And I wrote my dissertation, and I worked a little bit more. And the thing was that my work was recognized, and a publisher from Germany was ready to publish it.
With no physical limitations.
Yes.
So much flexibility of the results in action.
Yes, sir. Anything?
No, sir. No. Please continue,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Then, after that, that was the time in Nepal we were in a very, very bad situation because of the Maoist movement, and going to university was not always good. It was very problem, and we had to face lots of problems. Again, when these things were happening there, and we again in the crisis time, education was crisis, and we took look at, for example, to the technology. And then I defended my dissertation for PhD in November 2006, and in 2007, in January, I moved to Germany, to the University of Constance, and there I worked very extensively in the languages of South Asia, particularly the languages I was interested in, Indo-Aryan languages and Tibeto-Burman, as well as one language I worked was on Santali that belongs to Austroasiatic language. And all these kind of things gave me a kind of thing that, because at the University of Constance, I also did the research on South Asian languages. In the meantime, I was also interested in doing some computational linguistics. And in the meantime, when I did a good job in research, then they offered me teaching courses. And this teaching and that kind of research developed me a kind of confidence, and I worked there. And that, with that kind of experience, I returned to Kathmandu in 2010, and I joined Kathmandu University in 2011. And during my stay there in Germany, I worked extensively on South Asian languages. I prepared database on Bhagavad Gita. I prepared database on the language, Manipuri language, Nepali, and many others. And I presented internationally in different kind of universities, conferences, and I also published very extensively. And recently, one of my articles has been published in from Stanford University CSLI publication just in this May. I think the date was 28th of May. And all these kind of things had a great opportunity to prepare myself what kind of problem we may be facing in future. Then in 2011, I joined Kathmandu University, and there I worked lots of things. And here in Kathmandu University, there was a natural disaster in Nepal in 2015, April. We had a very devastating earthquake, and we have to prepare. Even in that kind of situations, we continued our learning and teaching activities. And that was possible because of the things that we have been doing. For example, the university that where I was teaching, the building was almost collapsed, and we had to run our classes in the makeshift classrooms that we created. And it was not possible for all the students to accommodate. And then what we did, we went to technology again, so that our academic activities would not be disturbed. And we started with Moodle. Moodle is something like MOOC, but Moodle has both synchronous as well as asynchronous place of learning. And we started with that. I think if we have the screen sharing, I could have shown it. I think if not, I'll just describe it. And because of even in that kind of crisis, although it was a natural disaster and earthquake cannot be avoided, and even after the, I think within a week or within a month after, we were able to run the classes, and that didn't spoil our academic activities, or no student lose any academic air. And in this way, we continued. And all these kind of experiences were great for us. And when we reached this 2020 March, and the pandemic was declared by WHO, and there was the government's already imposed the what do we say, lockdown. We were locked down inside the house. We didn't have anything to do. We were a kind of fear, and we didn't know that how long it will go. As already many of the speakers previously said, we were living completely in a kind of uncertain situations. We didn't know that it could go for four months. When in the beginning, on 23rd of March, when lockdown was imposed, we thought that it could go for 1 month. Oh, sorry, 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that. But it went extended, further extended and extended and extended. And all these kind of things happened. And there was a big problem with the learning community, especially. Then we decided, we had a meeting every Monday. We used to meet. And in the meeting, we decided that we should not discontinue our studies. We have to do it because we were equipped. And this semester, I was teaching 2 courses in MPhil level. And the courses I was teaching was, we call Trains in Applied Linguistics, and the other was Contemporary Thoughts in English Language Education. And in the beginning, just like other normal university courses in South Asia, we used to teach. There were some presentations from the students. They used to do some small scale, what do we say, some small scale research, and they used to present, they used to write their assignments, and at the end of the semester, they used to write their end semester exam, and we teachers used to grade them, and the result was presented. But we were almost half of the semester, because we normally start our semester in February and March we completed almost half of the March, and then we had a lockdown, and we were forced to live inside the house. There was no any way out, and then in that situation we moved to the online, and we didn't disturb, even a week also was not disturbed. Just about a week we had to decide, and some of our ICT personnel, they gave some training, and for me it was not a new, because I was doing lots of online classes, both in the Moodle and other kinds of things, and I also attended some courses in Germany. While doing my courses there, I had some experience of computational linguistics, and all these things made me didn't make me much difference doing face-to-face or online. And I designed the course a little bit differently. Then I changed the structure of the course a little bit, and we started with the Google Meet. We didn't use Zoom, and our university recommended us to go with Zoom, and with the Zoom we continued. Sorry, with the Google Meet we continued, and my students feel that there was not any problem that doing online, although it was a little bit difficult because we do not have courses here at the School of Education, Kathmandu University, on this undergraduate level. We teach only postgraduate, that is master's, MPhil, and PhD courses only. And in one sense, we were a little bit fortunate because the student community is not that large. And in MPhil, we have only 25 students, and for one batch, and that was not very difficult to manage with. And in this way, we continued, we went on, and the most important problem was with the assessment. How do we assess the students? Because an MPhil course particularly requires some sort of research, and without research, it is not possible to do. And then we started doing, I told them that this is the situation. You cannot go to the classroom to observe. You cannot go to the community for the data collection. And for that, I always told my students that they should meet the people, conduct the interview through Google Meet or Zoom or other kind of video conferencing and that kind of things. And I asked them, whatever you do, ask the permission for the recording, and many of them recorded the interview in their mobile phone, and later on they analyzed the data. And in this way, students wrote very good articles based on their own experience and data collection and reading and all that kind of things. And finally, we decided when I was just going to guiding them, supervising their work, and I feel that they were doing very great thing. Then I talked to them, and I also talked to my seniors at the university as well. And I told them my plan was that why not we do a webinar of international standard, and from 6th July to 10 July, for 5 days continuously, for 3 hours every day, we conducted the webinar, and from 10 different countries of the world. Every day there were 300 participants, and many more were not accommodated in the Zoom because Zoom allowed only 300 participants, and many of them watched live on Facebook. And in this way we conducted, and that was what I was doing my assessment system. And now still they're writing their final submission article. And for that, it was done in that way. And for masters, we did a little bit differently. And for masters, we did, I was teaching one course that is what we call pragmatics and discourse analysis. And in that particularly what we did was, it was we conducted open book exam. And for that, as we know that the electricity and internet is always fluctuating, especially in the context of South Asia, and we all are facing this one. And there, while discussing how to conduct the final semester exam of master's level, and some of our faculty members, they suggested that we have to give the question, and within 3 hours they have to submit them. And I told them, what happens if there is a power cut, and the power cut is there, for example, for 2 hours, and it's not the fault of the student, and if they are not able to submit the answer sets in the time, then we decided later on that we have to give 24 hours time to the student. And in case if that doesn't happen, if there is any power cut, or they can get some data and data package, and they will be able to send it. And this way we did, and assessment is also done. No classes disturbed. Final assessment is done. We have done all the internal assessment, and the university exam assessment is almost complete now, and we are working for all that kind of things. And another thing is that as we are teaching courses in post-graduation and MPhil and PhD courses, then one important thing is that the supervision of the students, and that almost all the time we are doing it through internet. And if we have to meet, sometimes we meet with Google or sometimes with Zoom. And our proposal this morning also, we had one proposal defense of one of my students, and he did with Google Meet. And sometimes we move to another kind of thing, Zoom, and all that kind of things we are doing. So we also call the admission for the students, and all of the students, we got more students than previous year, and more are still asking. And we are very happy that we are, I think in Nepal, we are the only institute to have the admission complete, and we are starting our classes next month. Usually August is the month that we start our fall semester, and the students have applied, they have been interviewed, they wrote their entrance test, and we interviewed them through Google Meet, and they have been selected now, and everything was done online. And this way we can do. But one important thing is that we have to have the courage, and we have to be able to do that. We can do something that others can't. And this is what we have been doing. And now we are ready for the next semester. This semester is almost over. It ends by July, and from August we start the next semester. And this is what I experienced. Thank you very much. Over to the host.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's really wonderful and motivational space. Works makes experience, and experience makes a man complete.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe if any questions, I am ready to answer. We can bring.
Sir, इतनी अपनी की अच्छी बात रही कि I think so कि it complete fulfill the object of our all the men's.
Sir, we are getting the responses, and the students are very happy. The participants are enjoying the things, the sessions.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now this is time to vote of thanks. और मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं IQAC कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर संजय अवस्थी को. डॉक्टर अवस्थी.
थैंक यू सर. नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर संजय अवस्थी आप सभी का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं. आज इस कोविड एरा में टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस में जहां ऑनलाइन मोड की इम्पोर्टेंस बहुत बढ़ गई है, इसी उद्देश्य से इस वेबिनार का आयोजन हमारे महाविद्यालय ने किया है, तथा मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि इसमें भाग लेने वाले सभी लोग लाभान्वित हुए होंगे. इस वेबिनार में हमें आशीर्वाद देने के लिए तथा अपना समय देने के लिए मैं महाविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से पंडित रविशंकर शुक्ला विश्वविद्यालय के कुलपति परम आदरणीय डॉक्टर केशीलाल वर्मा सर का हार्दिक धन्यवाद तथा आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। साथ ही साथ कीनोट इस एड्रेस के लिए प्रोफेसर राजीव चौधरी सर का मैं हृदय से आभार तथा धन्यवाद करता हूं। हमारे इस वेबिनार में रिसोर्स पर्सन के रूप में सम्मिलित डॉक्टर चंद्रदेव भट्टा सर तथा डॉक्टर टिकाराम पौडल सर का मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं तथा धन्यवाद देता हूं, जिन्होंने अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस तथा नॉलेज के द्वारा यहाँ पर हमें लाभान्वित किया तथा हमें अनुग्रहित किया। मैं महाविद्यालय के चेयरमैन श्री सुशील शुक्ला सर का तथा प्राचार्य डॉक्टर ममता शर्मा मैडम का धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करूंगा, जिनके मार्गदर्शन से कार्यक्रम सफल हुआ। साथ ही साथ मैं हमारे फैकल्टीज, हमारी टेक्निकल टीम तथा आप सभी का धन्यवाद तथा आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, जिनके सहयोग से यह कार्यक्रम आज पूर्ण रूप से सफल हुआ। पुनः आप सभी के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आभार, धन्यवाद। ओवर टू गंभीर सर।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। और लास्ट में एक आप सबके लिए इन्फॉर्मेशन, जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, आपके व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में आपको फीडबैक लिंक फॉर्म दे दिया गया है, आप उसे फिलअप कीजिए। आपके सर्टिफिकेट आप तक बहुत जल्दी उसके थ्रू पहुंच जाएंगे। आप सभी का पुनः एक बार धन्यवाद करते हुए हम आज इस वेबिनार का समापन करते हैं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय छत्तीसगढ़।
नमस्कार
सर, थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, sir.
Verma
Very
sir.
much.
Verma
Thank you,
sir.
sir.